Hi, welcome back to part 2 of this brush playing tutorial. We're going to break the fourth wall here. Mark Wessels, the gentleman holding the camera, just reminded me, he said, I think we should mention something about the drum head. And obviously, if you try to play the brushes on a clear head or a head without any kind of texture, it's, I don't know, it's like trying to drive your car on an icy street. Not a very productive effort. So your choices would be either a coated head or an etched head. I really enjoy playing the brushes on the Evans J1 etched head. This is a head that's scored rather than coated with an external kind of a paint. So it's really just like a form of sandblasting of sorts. And right out of the box it gives you a very nice textured surface to play the brushes on. With coated heads you wind up having to sand it down either with a piece of very fine sandpaper or with the brush. So the etched head is my first choice for playing brushes. Now when last we left the exercise portion of this tutorial, I was moving the brushes across the head. Top to bottom motion, legato, and then with a point at the beginning of each stroke. The same across the head. Now let's do an X figure. Bottom to top. To the point. Now check it out. We're using a different part of the brush all of a sudden. Here it was like the full brush. And now with the X, even though it's full, the brush is going in a different direction. So it's going to give a slightly different sound. If we do the X coming down, we're again using pretty much the full surface of the brush. Now, why do we want to work on these different directions in terms of moving the brush around the head? Well, in real life when you're playing, in real life, as you start playing syncopated accents and using the brush for different kinds of textural articulation, then you can see that you're going to be using more and more of the drum head and that the brush will be moving in these different directions. So you don't need to learn just a couple of brush patterns. It's not a good idea, I think, just to learn a couple of patterns, like, okay, here's a ballad, here's a fast tune, and then be stuck with those, because as soon as you want to break out of the pattern and into some kind of comping device or come up with a new beat, then it might be a little bit trickier. It's like you're starting off from scratch. So what I've started doing with my students, in addition to showing them beat patterns, we work on this idea, both brushes or one brush. And not only do you get familiar with the movement of the hands and the brushes, but you start to, when I move the brush this way, kind of like petting the fur of a cat or a dog in the wrong direction. Like, Now, Playing smooth with a brush means that we move it across the head smoothly. Playing rhythm with a brush means that we have to articulate. We have to get some emphasis, push, or what I like to call a point at the beginning of the beat. So how do we do that? Well, if you're bringing the brush down just at the start of things, it's just like playing a drum stroke. Only often with the brush you'll dead stick as opposed to playing with a rebound. So we're damping the tone, and it makes a kind of a fatter, wider beat. But once the brush is on the head, to re-articulate, what I do is this little snapping motion. I pull the brush across the head. You'll notice that as I hold the brushes, I have a pretty relaxed grip. And as I pull the brush across the head, then I grip it and bring it back down around. Best way to describe this, I guess, would be to pretend that your brush was a frog sitting on a log and a little insect came down. Landed next to Mr. Brush there. Got him. So it's just a quick little snap motion. That's how I like to do it. And because I play in this direction with the right and left hands, pulling the brush around and snapping it works very nicely. Okay, so that's a quick lesson about articulation. Next segment, I'm going to show you how to play some actual beats.